Welcome to the Your Message Received podcast. And now, taking your message to the finish line, your host, John Duffin.
Hey folks, John Duffin here, Duffin Media. Welcome back to another episode of Your Message Received. Your Message Received is the place, the home, the platform to help you find your best, most true, authentic business voice. Heck, maybe your best, most true voice. Get what you want, find what you need, improve your results, make billions of dollars, meet the person of your dreams. That's why we have our guest on today. We're not guaranteeing those last two, but we're working on all of that. One of the reasons this show happens to be working, and I'm really grateful that it is that we get to bring people on who walk the walk. It's all about the bounce back, folks. And honest to God, I am absolutely honored today that I get to bring on someone who I've bonded with thanks to Dave Scatcherd and All-Star Coaching. Tyson Nash, welcome to the show, man.
Oh, buddy, it's great to be here, great to be on, and great to tell my story. As always, it's a beauty, it's a dandy. I've been kicked around quite a bit in my day. I should probably write a book. But if my goal is always that I can maybe help someone out just a little bit.
Dude, I'm a book is a must for you. So we get to travel around the globe, literally, if it's not 10 years in the minors, to an NHL playing career, St. Louis and Phoenix and Japan, and a bunch of years broadcasting. So from riding buses to hitting all the hot spots in Utah, from sleeping with Paul Bissonnette in Pillow Talk to we always go salacious here any chance we get. To the customized Nash cast in Utah. It is one fun ride, man. I will ask you, as you've described yourself, you were known as a pest during the 6 years in the NHL. I always thought of you as really cool. Why would you be classified as a pest?
You know what? It was one of those things that, like all hockey players, right? You got to get to a certain level. You got to be good. I was good when I was a young kid. I was pretty good in junior. Ended up getting drafted. And then you make your way through professional hockey. And I started out with the Vancouver Canucks. They drafted me. I played in their minor league system. And you just kind of learn, like, maybe I'm not going to be able to get to that high skill level right now. So I have to find, and I had a coach by the name of Greg Gilbert that was like, you got to find something to do on the ice that differentiates you between all the rest, right? They have enough skill guys. When you look and you break down the body of the team and the personnel that they have, he was like, they have enough skill guys. They have enough power forwards. They need something a little bit different. And for me, I was like, all right, I think I could be an agitator. I think I could get in the grill and in the kitchen of a lot of skilled players, while still kind of trying to put up numbers at the minor league level. And hopefully that gives me something that, at the time, the Vancouver Canucks or the St. Louis Blues or the Phoenix Coyotes, don't have, right? So that was a niche that I kind of found and I kind of carved out for myself that allowed me to finally make the NHL with the St. Louis Blues. And I remember my coach, Joel Quinville, he was like, as long as you're the most hated guy in the league, you will always have a job and a spot with this hockey club. The minute you stop doing that, you're going to be back in the minors, eating soggy subs and drinking warm beers on the back of that bus from Syracuse, New York to Adirondack and Binghamton and Rochester. And so obviously it was an easy answer for me and an easy do. And I did it for as long as my body could hold up.
But you played 10 years in the minors, right?
I played about 13 years pro. I played, I think, just over 4 years in the minors.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So how did you ride the ride, buses, literally in this case, through what sounds like a travelogue of the world's finest destinations. And no offense to people in Syracuse, I've been there and I've got friends that are there. But just in the sense of how did you like was your drive that strong or what was it that held you? Because I could see people decide I don't want to ride this bus anymore.
Yeah, you
What
know
kept
what?
you going?
It was a lot of things, and I think it has to be. You have to find motivation, right?
Hmm.
Somehow, some way, you need something that motivates you, and more than just the end goal, which is getting to the NHL for me. I think my whole life, I came from a broken home. I had a lot of teachers along the way that would always go to my friends. Why do you hang out with this loser? Like this guy's a clown. And looking back, like I
Hmm.
probably acted out because I had a tough home life, right?
Hmm.
I acted out in certain ways, and I was always in the principal's office. I always had my nose in the corner. I was getting a strap every month. That's the kind of stuff they did back then. And
Oh,
I
I remember.
remember I had a gym teacher that literally, grabbed one of my buddies and like, why do you hang out with this guy? He's a loser. He's never going anywhere in life. He's never going to amount to anything. You need to stay away from him. He's just going to bring you down. And those type of things really kind of motivated me in my life. And then when I got playing hockey, I was able to take out all my anger and all my, home issues on other people, right? Because you're allowed to hit, you're allowed to fight. And, then you take another step forward. And I always had
Hmm.
coaches like, you're too small, you're not good enough, you're
Hmm.
never going to play. And I'm like, oh, just keep telling me that. Just keep telling me that. And then I get drafted,
Hmm.
and literally, I thought I was going, the Central Scouting had me ranked in like the fifth or sixth round.
Hmm.
And we had an unreal team in Kamloops. We won 3 Memorial Cups in 4 years.
Hmm.
We were just like an unreal team. And I ended up getting drafted, I think the last pick in the entire draft. And I literally cried. When the Vancouver Canucks called me, it's
Hmm.
supposed to be a happy moment. I was so pissed off, so upset. And every kid would just love to get drafted, right? But I was so upset because I'm like, look at all these players that got drafted ahead of me. I'm better than that guy, that guy, that guy. And literally every single game I would go out and I would hunt that player
You go
down that
find
got
them?
drafted. Oh, I'd try to fight him. I'd try to run him through the boards. I mean, whatever it took just to prove that I was better and someone made a mistake along the way. So I guess you could say I was a little bit of an angry guy throughout my career, but I don't know, it motivated me. It was fuel for the fire. And I think this certainly is not a method that everyone should use.
Mhm.
It worked for me, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think, I talked to my son a lot about it. I
Hmm.
wish sometimes he had a little bit more of that. I don't think he's found yet what is going to get him to the next level, right? He's
Hmm.
got all the skills, he's got all the tools, but I talked to him like, aren't you pissed off at the coach? Like, he
Hmm.
hardly played you tonight. He took you off the power play. I would have grabbed the gate and slammed the door and banged my stick on the bench. And he probably would have called you in the office the next day, but at least you would have, been able to say your piece, and then you'd have
Make
to
an
back it up.
impression. Hmm.
Then you'd have to back it up afterwards, right?
Hmm.
So anyway, the journey that I had was unbelievable. I always felt like I had something to prove, no matter where I was, whether it was Syracuse,
Hmm.
Worcester in the American Hockey League.
Hmm.
Later on, it was San Antonio. Then it was Toronto. Even at a later age, after I played in the NHL, I felt like I still had something to prove to get back up to the NHL. That never happened for me, but
Hmm.
again, you got to find whatever works for you.
And it worked. And it worked, right? What was it like playing in Japan?
It was amazing. It
Like,
really was.
like from a
Um,
cultural angle and all
yeah.
that stuff and fitting in and all that sort of thing. Yeah, walk me through it, man.
It was like an adventure, right?
Hmm.
I finally, the doors closed, right? You're knocking on every door, you're banging on
Yeah.
every window, and eventually they don't open anymore, right? And that's kind of where I was in my career. And I had a good buddy of mine, Jamie McLennan, who was like, "Hey, it's now middle of October. I just got a call from a team in Japan who his buddy played for, and he was like, they're looking for 2 imports, and they'd love to bring you guys in. The money was really good." And I was like, you know what? Why not? maybe I go there and do real well, and then I come back and I join an NHL team,
Hmm.
on the path to the playoffs or in the playoffs. You just always have hope, right? And
Hmm.
I'll tell you what, it was the most incredible experience for me. First of all, I'd never been, on that
I've
across
never
the
been there.
world, right? I've never been
Right.
across the ocean.
Yeah.
And you land in Tokyo. First of all, you fly over Tokyo and you're like, where the hell are we? Like, this is New York City on steroids. Like, literally, it took us like an hour to fly across
Just
Tokyo.
crossing on in a
Yeah,
plane.
on a plane. Yeah.
Right.
And you land and you're just like looking around. You're like, oh my God, like, where the hell are we and where have I been? I've been so sheltered in the hockey world
Yeah.
that I didn't even know it existed. But what a wonderful experience. I met some amazing people who I stay in touch with today.
Mhm.
Again, I made decent money. They took really good care of us, and what a culture! Just the most incredible people on the planet.
What made them incredible? What was the culture part?
Hardworking,
Okay.
honest,
Right.
just so respectful
Mm-hmm.
and polite, but yet cutthroat, right? In how they go about their business.
Hmm.
Um, they just treated us like first class. We literally were treated like royalty. And I was like, this is so incredible. They just the dinners and it was a corporation. It was called the Nippon Paper Cranes. So
Okay. Yeah.
it was actually an American company run out of, I believe it was Seattle or Tacoma. And they had their headquarters was in Japan.
Okay.
And we would go out for dinner with these guys and the businessmen, and
Hmm.
just how you'd sit down and you literally couldn't touch your drink. You'd have a drink ordered and you
Hmm.
couldn't touch your drink until everyone got there, and you'd have to comply, right? You have to do a
Wow.
big cheers.
Yeah.
And it was just, I don't know, I just found it fascinating, just a real different experience.
Well, it sounds like cutthroat in a good way when you were saying and cutthroat, because if it is a collective sense of respect and or appreciation and or then cutthroats, in at least to me, great, because everybody's heading in a similar direction, uh and it's a pretty damn classy move, man. What got you to get into broadcasting?
Well, it was kind of funny. Again, when again all the doors closed, I got
Yeah.
hurt. Believe it or not, I got hurt in Japan. Um, they called me the Japanese assassin. I was out there just killing people, like just like, and their hockey is really good. Like
Okay,
they're
good. It
skilled. They're
wasn't just out and
skilled.
out assault.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
skilled. They're fast,
Hmm.
but they don't play physical. So when I came across and started, playing in the league, I was like just hammering people. And even my own crowd, our own fans in our home
Hmm.
building were just like, who is this guy? Like, this is crazy. Like, they were horrified at first, right? And our interpreter and our assistant coach was like, no, 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 this is what he does. This is a big part
Hmm.
of the American Canadian game, is playing physical, playing hard, and playing whistle to whistle and buzzer to buzzer, right? So it was kind of an eye-opening experience for them as well. But anyway, I got hurt and I realized my career was over.
Hmm.
No doors opened back up when I got back to America. And our president, Doug Moss, at the time was like, listen, like, you're a huge personality in Arizona. Darren Pang had taken over the TV, and Louis DeBrusque at the time had left to go to Edmonton. So there was a spot available on radio. And he literally showed up at my door and said, I know you're going to Tampa Bay on a tryout, but he's like, this is an unreal job. If you take
Hmm.
this job,
Hmm.
there's only 31 of them in the world. If you
Yeah.
take this job, you can do it for as long as you want. And literally, I did it for 18 unbelievable years.
Hmm.
I think it was, maybe it was 16 or 17
Yeah,
or
it was at
18 years.
16, 17. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't even remember, but I did it forever. And honestly, it was one of the best decisions I ever made. We were able to stay in Arizona, put some real deep roots here. I raised
Hmm.
all three of my children. Two of the three are going to ASU as of next year in the Valley here. So it was just a wonderful decision. And I'll never forget Doug Moss, our president, for allowing me to
Hmm.
do it.
When did I'll call it the money crisis occur? Was it after? I know it was after you're done playing, but I was going to say, was it how deep into the announcing career? Like, what was the timeline of that?
Well, so the funny part is it happened in my last year in Arizona. So
Oh, you're still playing.
I was playing in the NHL
Okay.
and things were coming to a head.
Hmm.
We were asking questions because I think a lot of us in our investment group were kind of coming to the end of our careers and going, okay, what's next?
Hmm.
How much money do I have? Am I, able to retire comfortably?
Yeah.
Or am I going to have to go work? Right.
Hmm.
And it literally, I would say it probably ended my career because it started to come to a head. Businesses were failing. We were realizing the truth of what was happening and how much money we had lost. And I knew I was in trouble. And I literally was depressed. I lost a ton of weight
Hmm.
and I couldn't do my job on the ice physically because I was a physical player. I had to fight and I had to get in people's faces. And,
Hmm.
that year ended and that's when it just absolutely spiraled out of control.
Shoot, I'm thinking that when you shared a lot of the details of that experience, I'm thinking that that the NHL part was behind you. Uh, you're literally still needing to perform when you come to the realization. Um, so that deep depression part, you share with me before. Share as little or as much as you want. How that impacted you. Now you
Ah,
got a family, you got kids, you got a wife, you know what
oh
I
yeah.
mean, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. We're living in this big fancy house that we had just built
Hmm.
in a neighborhood called Silverleaf here in Arizona.
Hmm.
And we were very fortunate. We do a lot of real estate stuff. My wife's in real estate
Hmm.
currently. And we built this house. I had got traded to the Toronto Marlies, Toronto Maple
Yeah.
Leafs club. And
Yeah.
anyway, we again the writing was on the wall. I knew I was in trouble.
Hmm.
Looking at my bank account and I'm like, we're done. And that's why I had to go to Japan afterwards because I needed income. I needed a way to survive, right? I
Okay.
mean, I just played 7 years in the National Hockey League.
Mm.
I think 9 with the lockouts that we had, and I needed to work. I was desperate, in fact, to
Mm.
work. So that's also why I continued to play and go to Japan. But I lost a ton of weight, as I said. I was
Yeah.
depressed. I didn't get out of bed some days. Literally, I would stay in bed all day long. And this went on for a long, long time. And we had 3 kids under the age of,
Hmm.
I think, 6 at the time. And my wife finally had enough. She's like, okay, I've let you feel sorry for yourself enough. It's time to be a man. It's time to get out of bed. It's time to start going for a walk or exercising or doing something because the way you're acting is a terrible example, first of all, for our kids.
Hmm.
Second of all, I don't think she was all that impressed by it, and we needed to find a way, right?
Right.
So,
Right.
ended up after I came back from Japan, I had signed up to be the radio broadcaster of the Phoenix Coyotes at the time.
Yeah.
But I was making I think I was making 90 grand my first year, which
Hmm.
obviously, is still decent money, but it's not what I was making, right? I was making millions every
Hmm.
year.
Hmm.
And we literally had $250,000 left in our bank account
Hmm.
by the time my career was over. And I was like, and that's why I was depressed. I'm like, I got my face punched in for, 8 or 9 years.
Literally.
And
Uh,
now I have, yeah, literally, as you can tell.
I, dude, you ain't gonna get that from me. I think you're freaking hot. So anyway, like I said, but whatever. I
Yeah.
got you. But
And
yeah.
now I'm like, what just happened?
Hmm.
And my wife was like, we got to pick ourselves up off the floor. Like we still
Hmm.
have money in the bank. We got
Hmm.
healthy kids,
Hmm.
we got amazing families. So let's get it together. And we literally, she dragged me to this gym called Orange Theory,
Right.
and we did our first workout, and we were like, oh wow, this is kind of interesting, And I'm looking around the class. I think the second or third workout, and I'm like, this place is packed. And
Hmm.
now I'm paying the bill, right? And I'm like, this place is freaking expensive too.
Packed
I'm
and
like,
expensive.
yeah, I'm like, and it's packed and it's expensive. I'm like, I'd like to talk to the owner and see what, the business mind kind of always gets going. And that's
Good.
also what,
Well,
what
there you
I
go.
always had. I
Hmm.
have the gift of curiosity, right? And it gets you into trouble in
Hmm.
ways, but it's
Hmm.
also very helpful. and we ended up meeting with the owner, and he ended up partnering with us. And literally, I lost millions and millions of dollars
Mhm.
in bad business decisions and financial advisor
Mhm.
that ended up going to jail for 17 years,
Mhm.
and his partner who went to jail for 10 years.
Mhm.
Um, and I bought and we built one Orange Theory, then I built another one, then I built a third one, then a fourth one, then a fifth one, and then a sixth one. And we had a massive private equity company come in and bought all six of them, and just kind
Oh,
of made us a real sweetheart deal that literally I feel at my age at the time, which I think I don't know, 43 years old,
mhm.
which kind of saved my life, I feel, because
Mhm.
at that time, now you're getting all this money back,
Yeah.
right? Rather than some of these hockey players when they get it at 20,
Mhm.
it's easy to spend it and blow through it, right?
Mhm.
But when you get a big lump sum at 43 or 44, now you're like, okay, now I can finish out the rest of my life in a good way. So
And learn from what you experience. I remember that's when I locked into you when you were sharing that. We folks that we were in this guy's house is not a small home. So I'm not like I said, but it's a homey home. And Dave Scatcher, we love you. And it's like, so, but it felt crowded, right? I mean, it wasn't like I was sitting really close to you. And I just remember I looked at you and it was like the bravery just to share that, it is to me so powerful. It really resonated to me in the sense that at a later age than 43, and the worst weird part was nobody took the money from me. I just blew through a lot starting the business that I have now. And you learn, and it ain't something you want to learn, how fast you can blow through money. And so I just remember I said to you after, I'm like, that really hit me and gave me hope. That was the word that I remember saying. It gave me hope. And so I love that sense that you get a second opportunity, like I said, to continue to do it right and a little bit
yeah.
smarter. Um,
Well, and I think to your point, John, is like
yeah,
you have to learn. That's the biggest thing. And I would
hate
do
that part.
yeah, I would do anything though to talk to some of these young athletes,
Right.
and maybe not even athletes, businessmen. I mean,
Yeah.
lots of people that this can happen to
Sales
anyone. Like,
career. Yeah.
yeah, I'm not a dumb guy either, and
Clearly.
like I felt like the biggest thing for me is
Mm,
that what I learned is that you never give your money to other people because they're using you,
mhm,
right? If
mhm,
you're not running it, or you're not on the board, or you don't have full access and
mhm.
decision making ability,
All right.
do not ever give your money to
Mhm,
someone else hoping that your dreams come true, because they're taking your money from you to make their dreams come true, right?
mhm.
They're getting percentages because they're raising all the capital, and they're using you as a pawn, right? And the other thing I'll say is that, it's amazing when I look back now, because I'm like, man, I cannot believe, like, it was honestly the best thing that ever happened to me
Mm,
was my
mhm,
financial guy. And he
mhm,
didn't necessarily steal the money, but
mhm.
it was just one bad business and one bad land purchase. And there
Ah,
was a couple shell companies that
mhm.
that didn't exist, that it was just flat out stealing. But if I would have kept and saved the million and a half or $2 million in my bank account
Yeah.
and just tried to hang on to that and live
Mhm,
off of that and
mhm,
just try to survive, I
mhm.
don't think I ever would have been able to. Like, I think that I would have blown through that, right? So this literally made me recreate myself and go, okay, I'm starting from scratch. I have no other decision. I have to do this
Mhm.
for my family, or we're going to be on the street. And I think that, I actually thank my financial guy for doing it, because again, I created something that I never would have created otherwise.
Yeah, see, that's the part. And it gave me hope a second time. So thank you for that. It does, man. It does that you get the opportunity to reinvent yourself. So you get to broadcast, as you were just saying, and the 16 plus years, and it was a great experience, and you have your roots now and kids in school and ASU and everything's great and Kathy's in real estate. And then a franchise, this is not an everyday deal where pro franchises close up. It happens. It happens in every sport, but it's not a day to day that they're literally just shutting down or being sold. For me in Philadelphia, I still feel the sting. And Christ, this has got to be at least 30 some odd years ago when the Eagles were almost sold and they were going to go to Arizona. And Jeffrey Lurie came in and bought the team, and that stopped it. I still remember how weird it felt, and it never happened. So you're now have real skin in the game. You're a broadcaster. Everything's great. You get to have fun. I after I met you, I'm literally looking on YouTube and watching the fun that you're having in regards to the way that and talk about who knew. With business, you like who knew? This is old news that I'm talking about. So you understand how to be creative in regards to visuals, video, and all that sort of thing. How was that received? Because, like I said, you were not the typical, buttoned up, suited up. Like you were able to bring elements of you in. How was it received, or was it instantly received well?
Well, I think that's why, Doug Moss at the time and Doug
Mhm,
Cannon,
mhm,
they reached out to me because they're like, this guy has a personality. He
mhm,
likes the camera. He likes to
mhm.
talk. And
Yep.
I think a lot of players do, but internally, right? In the locker room, in the
Mhm.
privacy of the room or on the bus,
Right.
not necessarily when a camera's in front of them. And
Mhm.
Ronick, I mean,
Oh, I love him. You know that.
yeah,
I love him.
he's next level,
Next
but
level.
I used to watch him and be like, he's
Mhm,
like, I want to be him. I want
mhm,
to be a version of that because he's
mhm,
so fun. He's just being
mhm.
himself. And
Yeah.
I think you're seeing it now more and more. And I think
Oh,
Paul
thank
Bissonnette,
God for that, right?
yeah.
You
And
know?
I think Paul Bissonnette and guys
Mhm,
like Ronick and
mhm,
Keith Kachuk, another guy I played with, they really helped in that aspect because
mhm,
hockey players are the best athletes in the
mhm,
world as far as good guys, personalities,
mhm,
approachable, all those
mhm.
things. And you just want to see more of it, right? So,
Yeah.
then Twitter comes out, social media,
Mhm,
and that's where
mhm.
Bissonnette really exploded, right?
Yep.
And just showed his
Mhm.
personality. He was like the Howard Stern of hockey, right?
Right.
In a lot of ways, the storytelling
Mhm.
and all that stuff. And now a ultra successful
Ultra,
podcast.
ultra.
Yeah.
Exactly, man.
Oh yeah, and I think that I wanted to play in that field. I wanted to be more
Mhm,
of that. And as soon as I put the headset on and got
mhm.
behind the microphone, that's where I kind of thrived. Right? It
You
just
knew.
I felt that excitement again, especially when I got on TV.
Mhm.
The lights come on. I felt like I was a hockey player again, right?
Yep.
I felt that adrenaline rush, which I'm an adrenaline junkie, so I'm
Yep.
always looking for that next high. And I don't want it to be the bad highs, right? That's a good high, and I loved it.
Mhm,
Every time
mhm,
those lights would come on, the microphone, you got a nice suit on, and
mhm,
like
mhm.
besides the makeup, I didn't like that so much, but
Dude, you
I
walk around with a tan like that. I don't even know that you would need the makeup,
oh
but
yeah, like an old catcher's mitt with eyes over here. But yeah, I just loved it. I really did. I'm not doing that exactly
Mhm,
anymore. I didn't get the job with the Utah Hockey Club.
mhm.
They really
Yeah.
wanted, from my understanding, to bring in
Mhm,
new faces and new blood. They wanted to disassociate themselves with Arizona Coyotes. They're a new
mhm,
franchise, new expansion team, and they wanted to bring new blood in. And
mhm.
I do respect that. But I miss that broadcasting job between the benches when you can really feel the game, and it's the best game on earth.
I love that. But meanwhile, I'm looking, and folks, if you're listening, humor me that I'm looking at this guy with his powder blue hoodie. So obviously, it's not
Yeah,
like they left
yeah,
you behind.
Utah, baby,
Uh,
Utah.
so you get grabbed up, and you're dealing with a reload, so to speak, but it doesn't seem like a terrible one in regards to just the distance, right?
Yeah.
So you now are in I've seen the pictures. It looks insanely gorgeous in terms of those areas of Utah. And I hear it, and you're describing where you get to go to all the hot spots and the restaurant, and all that sort of thing. How is it from going to a franchise where the walls were closing in? It's 45 or 4,600 people, I believe, toward the end. A good team in a bad atmosphere, not a bad city, just a bad atmosphere. Um, and then you go to somewhere all new. What was that like? So they grab you up and you're saying, I missed that, but you're there. And so what's it like for you?
Well, I mean, there's the heart part of it, right? I gave my heart to this team.
Sure.
I lived and breathed the
Hmm.
Arizona Phoenix Coyotes. I
Hmm.
played for them. I worked for them for 16 years. I
Hmm.
was here over 20 years. And we grew the game, right? That's the beauty of it. We grew the
Right.
game to where it was, and we were just in a crappy building,
Hmm.
a
Yeah.
college building. It's a beautiful building, but
Hmm.
it's a
Hmm.
college building,
Hmm.
right? You don't play to get to the NHL to play in front of 5,000 people. You
No.
play to play in front of 19,000, right?
Hmm.
That's how it should be. And that was not the case. And I guess we always just thought that, hey, we're going to get a rink. It's going to get done. I mean, we're in one of the best cities in America,
Oh my
right?
God,
Like,
you want for nothing there. You know what I mean? It's like
yeah,
I've only been there a few times, but it's like
yeah,
world-class football stadium and the baseball
yeah,
ballpark and the NBA. And it's like
yes,
I didn't know that was even true. Let
yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah, and they will be back.
mhm,
There will be a team here in probably 5 or 6 years.
okay,
But they got to get an arena,
yeah,
and it's got to be in the right part of town. That was the costly errors. They thought that they could put this rink in the middle of a farmer's field in another city, essentially, right? I
mhm,
mean, you're in Philadelphia.
yep,
That'd be like you guys putting the rink in. Can't remember where my in-laws used to live, but like 40 an hour outside of
Allentown,
town.
Bethlehem, or somewhere. We'll say
Right.
Allentown or Bethlehem or somewhere in New
Lansdale or
Jersey.
whatever. It wouldn't
Oh,
work. It wouldn't
it
work.
doesn't work. It
Right.
doesn't
Like
work.
you could take the Edmonton Oilers and you could put them in Vegreville with Connor McDavid and Draisaitl, and
Right.
no one's gonna go. It's just how it is. It's
Mhm.
location, location, location in
All
any
from your
business that
wife
you
in the
do.
real estate. You know what I mean?
Right.
Location,
Yeah.
location, location.
Yeah. So they literally overnight it happened, and the team we literally heard on the plane that we were moving, and we landed. There was a team meeting, and I'll never forget it. I will never forget it. We were
Mhm.
all just looking at each other like, "Are you kidding me?
Right.
Like, are you kidding me? This is
Mhm.
unbelievable." So and I'm so super happy. First of all,
Mhm.
ownership is the most important thing. As you guys know, there in Philadelphia,
Heck
you
yeah.
have to have good ownership. That is
Mhm.
your leadership group. That's where it
Mhm.
starts. You want to have people that want to win and
Mhm.
build a community and build a good community and a
Mhm.
foundation
Mhm.
and good people around you. And that's what they've done in Utah. And that's why it'll always be a success.
Mhm.
Ryan and Ashley Smith are absolutely incredible. First of all, human beings, but smart business people. And they have a lot, and I mean a lot of money. So, and I'm glad. I'm so happy for them. I'm so happy for the people of
Mhm.
Utah because they deserve a team. I
Mhm.
just wish it wasn't the Arizona Coyotes
Sure.
because we grew and
Mhm.
we gave our heart here to
Mhm.
grow hockey. You should see the kids and the players that we are pumping out of Arizona at the NHL level. Like it would blow your mind what we are doing here because so many ex-players they retire here, they live here because it's Scottsdale. It's one of
It's
the best cities in the
heaven,
world. Yeah.
you know.
So
So, what do you get to do with the Nash cast?
yeah, so this is Ryan and Ashley,
Mhm.
we live in Idaho, just down the road from each other. So we kind of
Mhm.
got to know each other over the summer after he bought the team from Arizona.
Right.
So I think he kind of like took a liking to me. I think he was asking around,
Mhm.
hey, who's this guy? What's his story? And the more that we talked about it, I think he wanted me a part of the team, even though I got
Definitely.
passed by for the
Mhm.
color analyst job that I had done for 16 years. So he actually created a show for me,
Mhm.
and it's called the Nash Cast. It's a lot almost identical to the Peyton Manning cast.
Sure.
And obviously, I'm not Peyton Manning. I'm not even Eli Manning. I mean, you
Oh
got to
my
win
God.
you got to win Super Bowls for that and be in the Hall of Fame. But they trusted me with my own show,
Mhm.
and we live stream the game, and people tune in and they get to watch me interview guys like Jeremy Roenick, a Hall of
Yup.
Famer, the
Yup.
most recent Hall of Famer. I had
Mhm.
Mike Modano on my last show. I had Chris Pronger on my show. I had Rick Bowness on my show. I have had Doug Wilson, another Hall of Famer. I have had so many incredible guests, and they always in the broadcast world want us to tell stories, right? And I'm like, in
Mhm.
what world can you tell a story on live TV? You
Mhm.
can't. There's no time, especially in hockey. It happens so fast. So this gives me a chance. As you can tell, I like to talk, and I get to tell stories, and I get to, bring out stories in some of these incredible guests. And so I had Mark Grace on, and it was one of the
Right.
funniest,
Right.
most incredible storytellers that I have ever heard in my lifetime. I was literally pissing my pants laughing. So now we need to figure out how to get the content out there to everybody, because I think people would really enjoy it.
Well, I know that anything like in communications, the fact is it's if you get the privilege to air out a little bit and you could do it without feeling quite the constraints. Although, I mean, obviously there are some, but the ease. What was like so far? What do you want to have happen with the show as you're in essence steering the ship, so to speak? How do you want to see it
Yeah.
evolve?
I just don't want to steer it off a cliff. I've done that a few times in my life.
Who hasn't?
No, and
Right.
that's a great amount of trust, right? That
Right.
Ryan has given me, because it's a
Right.
live show.
Mhm.
Our first sponsor is Anheuser-Busch. So, me and my guests, I do the non-alcoholic stuff, but we have a couple cocktails on there. It's like you're literally pulling up your chair to a bar and
Mhm.
you're watching a hockey game. That is what he wants to create,
Mhm.
right? And what I want to create is
Yeah.
I want to show people, I want to show the world
Mhm.
what these hockey players and athletes
Mhm.
and singers and
Mhm.
movie stars, because I
Mhm.
want it all from all aspects of life.
Got it. Okay.
I want to hear their stories. That's what I love doing.
Mhm.
I don't miss playing. I don't miss playing for 1 second. I miss the paychecks, but I don't miss
Yeah.
playing. I miss the
Mhm.
stories. I miss going out for dinner before the game with the guys, a glass of wine, a big fat steak, and we're
Wait a minute.
sitting
This is
there.
before the game?
Yeah, before the game. That's
Oh,
what
fun.
when you travel into a city, that's what you do. We fly
Oh,
into
well, I'm
Philadelphia.
thinking like right before you get to the arena.
Oh, yeah, no, no, no. That's not what we do on my show, but I'm saying that's what I miss
Yeah.
about playing in the NHL, right?
Yep.
Is just
Mhm.
sitting there and telling stories with the boys and just busting balls and
Yep.
you just ripping on each other, right? That's what was so super fun for me.
I feel as if, well, I did hockey for me. It was before I met Dave Scatcherd. Hockey for me before was probably the fourth some odd tier. So I didn't know that much about it. I knew, I mean,
Yeah.
you get the Flyers like about a mile from me, and, so I knew, but it wasn't until one of the gifts that I find is, and you bring up the storytelling, that I met Dave and told him this, so I'm not that it was like I signed up for his program because I'm like, oh my God, this guy is really hot, and I see him on social media all the time, so he must be a good coach. And then you wonder why all my money just is but it's the stories he told, right? And you JR, it's like the actual stories are so real and human, and none of them have pretension to them.
Oh, yeah.
To me, none, none. So, with your family, you identified already, like I said, your son, and I know you've got a few kids, which is great in that regard. What would you wish for them in regards to their ability to be authentic and still, you know, reach for the moon?
I think just that, right? Just
Hmm.
be yourselves, be passionate, um, just be curious, right? Be curious about life and business and um obviously just enjoy. Life is like just so full of ups and downs and all arounds. And I have been through it. My goodness. I think we all have, everyone has in life.
Yeah.
It's always, and I think that's the beauty of it,
Mhm.
is that they've watched my journey and my story. And if they haven't seen it firsthand, they've certainly heard about it from people or my friends or from a podcast or from my wife. And I think no matter what they go through in life, they're like, oh man, like dad went through this and dad did this and he turned out kind of okay, So I think that's the one gift that I can really and have, maybe I hope, given my kids, is just the ability to get through adversity. And they've all been through it in their lives. My youngest daughter was bullied all the way through school. It was one of the most horrific things on the planet. I'll never forget some of those days and conversations we had to have with her and other parents. It's just the most cruel thing you could do for a kid. Social media, the issues we've dealt with that stuff, just the bullying on there. My son plays hockey. The ups and downs that come with sports. He's going to ASU next year for the next 3 years. I'm so pumped and proud of him in that regard. The injuries, my oldest daughter went through a ton of ACL injuries playing soccer for UND. Just like, you want to talk about ups and downs. I mean, but I've been through that. My wife's been through that. So we were able to help her along. She's now on a career path right now. She works for the St. Louis Blues hockey team, which is so unbelievable. So proud of her. But lots of learning moments in that, right? So there's always something. And I just hope my kids just keep grinding, keep working, because I feel like if you're a kid in today's world and you want to work hard and you want to battle and you want to, muck it up a little bit, you are going to have massive success, because there are so many softies out there. There are so many pansies. I will just say that, in this world.
I am so honored, Ben. I could feel the energy when I met you, and I'm so honored that you continue to stay in my sphere. Tyson Nash, thank you so much for showing up for me today. You just made this great for me. Thank you.
Hey, anytime, buddy. Anytime. I appreciate you. I love what you're doing, and great chatting.
Brother, absolutely awesome. I thank you. And folks, you've heard another episode of Your Message Received. Keep liking, watching, sharing, telling all your friends, and we will keep driving content through your front door. John Duffin here, Duffin Media. Have a great rest of the day, and we will talk soon. Bye.
And now, making its way across the finish line, Your Message Received has been a production of Duffin Media.